when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go.
Hello, everybody. This is Joseph Pasek of the Fired Up Network, and welcome to Maple Leafs Forever Leafs Talk post-game edition, Game 5. You see him, the grizzled young veteran, Marty Roberts, and Isabel Cup champion for, well, the team should be named nameless here. It's Taylor Woods here. All right, enough of this. You heard the intro, even though you still can go. Well, the Maple Leafs want to go golfing again! For the 20th time in a row, they have a team down. 3-1. Sorry, Taylor, if I'm screaming. 3-1. 3-1. They're playing at home. They're playing all over. Everybody's going crazy. They come back in Tampa, winning games. What do? Like Marty Roberts, every day after the TTC, he goes to the washroom and does his business there. That's what the Maple Leafs did today. They did business on the ice. On the ice. And we're going to have the Greek come on, and he said, he's the only one here who said, it's going to be 5 games. Well, Greek, you're wrong! Like the rest of your career in baseball and everything, it's always wrong. Taylor.
I think there was a dog that actually said that the Lightning were going to win Game 5 over. Right, I don't know. He has better odds.
Taylor, I think you said Game 6, right?
Yeah, I said Game 6.
All right, so you're still on course. Marty Roberts.
Game 7, I said.
All right, so you're still on course. I said the Maple Leafs going to win. I didn't say games. So I'm still on course. So the only one who got this wrong, and I should wait till he comes in, but I hope his hair is a mess today. His hair is a mess today because I don't understand. This is how many years in a row? They have Montreal 3-1. They come back here, and everybody is cheering them on, thinking this is the year, and this may be the year again. But I'll tell you right now, do you really believe that they're going to win in Game 6 after what you saw tonight? Let's start off with Taylor.
It was sort of just like an unseen game. Like it was like pretty bland for like even a playoff game. Yes, like even both teams struggled like off the puck, just trying to produce something. Like the goals that went in, like they were really hard, gritty goals. Like there wasn't really anything tic-tac-toe, but you know what, you could do anything. Like they have a couple days, come back, regroup, and then just hit it hard. They've lost, so it's like, okay, let's see that adversity. If their room's gelling and their room's like has this leadership now, you should see that change come out in Game 6.
Marty?
Well, we talked about last show. Taylor even said the pressure coming back to Toronto might be too much, and when they go back to Tampa, that could be when they win Game 6. To me, and I've said this all along, the Leafs decide to play when it's the third period, and tonight it was just too late for them. 2 games before they pulled it out in the third period. Tonight they just couldn't do it. They got too far behind. Guys like Nylander coasting through, and then when he wants to turn on, he could turn on. He could be the best talent on the ice when he turns it on. It's just when does he turn it on? My buddy Justin Hall again. -3, and on the goal.
Where's Willigren when you? The guy they traded from Washington?
The goal, the second goal, yes, Samsonov looked really bad on that second goal. But at the same time, and Taylor, you're a defenseman, you saw Justin, instead of taking him out to the boards, he turns the other way and allows them an opportunity to cut towards the net. And to me, that was a big mistake. And yes, Samsonov looked bad, but I don't know why Justin Hall is out there. And every time I look, even the camera now, if you watch the cameras, after the goal, they go right to Justin Hall's face. Every single time. So even if you weren't watching, it was his fault again, right? I don't know what they're going to do. Hall's not coming out. We know that. The question is, who's Bunting coming in for?
Yeah, well, even too, like Ashton Reese was on that play, and he sort of like on that third goal sort of did turn the puck over in the slot. Yeah, his stick broke at the end, but it's just like, hey, unexpected play. You still have to make a hard play, even chip it down for an icing. Hall, I think, was looking for the reverse on that, and it was just didn't hit off the boards well. Like it was close and tight. that forward got the middle and try to force them up. So yeah, that is a reversible play when everyone is stacked and looking in the middle. So it was just people were collapsing and watching the puck, and they just can't do that, especially that late in the game.
Oh, here's the other thing too. That you got your fourth liners, Zach Aston-Reese and Lafferty out there for less than 7 minutes. They're both -2. So is Bunting going to take one of their places? And does he look to bring someone else in as well in that fourth line? Because last game they only played 7 minutes as well. So there's an opportunity for Keith to bring in a couple guys here and not really upset the apple cart too much, and possibly bring a little bit more physicality to it, and another guy that can maybe grind out a goal or two.
Well, and even, okay, so on the flip side here, the last 3.5 minutes of the game, 4 minutes of the game when they pulled the goalie, who played all 4 minutes? Pretty much just 6, maybe 7 guys. And it's okay, they were gassed. You could see Austin Matthews got pushed off the puck from someone that was smaller than him that he shouldn't have. And that's just bench mismanagement too. Going down the stretch, and it's hey, you still need to score a goal, but also too, why aren't you pulling the goalie? Why did you put Samsonov back in at 2:15 when you pulled them at 4? So just down the stretch, I think they were just panicking too. So they just got to get a grip on that.
All right, so that's Game 5 is in the books. Now, I'm going to ask Marty, start off with this. Game 6 is back in Tampa. Now, Tampa has they're Tampa's still the reigning, going to 3 straight Stanley Cups, winning 2 of them. They're still the Tampa Bay Lightning. The pressure's on the Leafs. I'll tell you right now, even though they're leading 3-1, now 3-2, the pressure is on the Leafs because people are already starting to talk. Oh, here we go again. Here we go again. It's Game 6, and you know what happens if they lose Game 6? And let's face it, Tampa at home has lost 2 games at home already. Are you telling me, Marty Roberts, that the Maple Leafs are going to win the series, winning three games in Tampa?
Yeah, it's going to be awfully tough going back to Tampa. They obviously have in the back of their mind too, being up 3-1 versus Montreal and losing that. Now they're coming against a team, truthfully, it's probably better than what Montreal was back then, and going back to their home rink. What's that?
100% better.
Yeah, and they're going back to their home rink now. And when you look at this, as much as the Leafs were up 3-1 going into tonight's game, they were outplayed in those 2 games.
Yeah,
for most of those 2 games.
And that's what I want to say.
So this could easily be, Tampa up in this series as opposed to the Leafs, right? So the Leafs, I've said it, and I say it last year, they have to, as soon as the puck drops, they have to have that fight to win the game. They have to. They can't just say, we'll wait till the third period. If we keep it close, we got a chance. No, how about you just take the lead and make them come after you?
Taylor?
Yeah, well, it's just also just doing the simple things. You even just saw people just fumbling the puck, making bad decisions, holding on for too long, not winning their battles, even not being first in on battles, right? So it's just doing the little things right. And then you could build momentum off of that, right? You just don't come like a boxing, you don't come in with the big uppercut right away. You throw some pretty patter jabs and then boom, you hit them. So that's sort of just the mentality that they have to do. And yeah, you know what? I like the scrums that they have. I think that sort of tries to bring up the intensity and the grit. But at the same time, you got to start small and build.
Number one, Taylor, is your next job fighting Jake Paul or what? You're talking about boxing and everything like that. You're already Arnold Schwarzenegger winner. You're already a hockey champion. Is your next, you wanted me to call Jake Paul? I know Logan's in wrestling now, so I can make a phone call here. All right. So that's number one. Number two, okay. I'm going to go back to Marty's favorite player, Justin Hall. All right. Now, Justin Hall, whatever you think, makes 1 mistake, 2 mistakes, 3. Every game, he at least makes 3 mistakes a game and still has a job. When Bunting made the mistake, he can't even get in after he's suspended. So what does Justin Hall have with Sheldon Keefe? Because
pitchers.
Bunting, pictures, no pictures, brass balls, whatever he gave to Norm there. Like, unbelievable when you have Lilligren sitting in the box. You traded the other guy, the Sandin, to Washington for Gustafson. Gustafson hasn't seen the ice.
And there's also Timmins as well.
Yeah.
When Timmins comes into the lineup, things happen as well. I don't understand Keefe's fascination with Hall. Haven't understood it since Keefe got here as much as he's played out. Now, tonight he only played him 12 minutes, which I don't know, maybe that's a sign that next game Hall's sitting up in the crowd. I don't know if it is or not, because usually he's a little bit more than that minute-wise on the ice. So hopefully he sits down, he looks and says, you know what, we have to bring something else in, and one of them is another defenseman. I don't care who it is, one of those three guys.
Yeah, the only thing that would cross my mind is he's been like the longest veteran there besides Riley, of course. So it's like, okay, whatever quote unquote defensive systems they have, which was non-existent throughout the series, he's going to try to encapsulate and sort of bring back in. He is playing with Giordano, which is, I don't think that pair is great either. But yeah, like, you know what, change it up. This is why you brought in so many players to shuffle things, to bring that momentum through. And yeah, you know what, Bunt, like, you sort of just keep the lineup that works if you just win 2 in a row. Been on that end. So, but Bunting should get back into this game.
Justin Hall is with the Maple Leafs because Sheldon Keefe and him have history in the Marlies. All right, that's number one. Marlies also opened up the second round series tonight. They're playing at Coca-Cola Coliseum against the Utica Comets. They're in overtime. 8 minutes left to go in overtime, and it's a 5-5 tie there. We got you covered and everything. We talk about Toronto 6. We talk about the Marlies. We talk about the Maple Leafs. But this, honestly, I'll go to Taylor. I asked Marty the same question, but Game 6, pressure is on the Maple Leafs, not Tampa. Now, the Maple Leafs, when they play under pressure, and Justin Hall is the top guy to talk about this, coughing up the pucks and all that. And one other thing, the reason why Tampa won tonight, Marty, is why? Because their goaltender played like their goaltender, always plays like their goaltender. Tampa outshot the Maple Leafs, but he had more quality saves. Mitch Marner had a breakaway in the third period. Vasilevsky stopped him.
That was such a bad. That, like, you could have chose anything else. Like, you could change the angle. Like, you had time. You could change the angle. You could actually shoot the puck harder. He whiffed on it. You could pull off even just a little move, right? Even just pull, like, just a little push, a little pull sort of thing. He did nothing. He skated down and he whiffed on the puck. But it sort of happened to him, like, throughout the game. Like, not even just, like, shooting wise, but just handling the puck and everything. So, just wasn't his game.
And the other thing is that you got to give it to Matthew Knies, because right now, I'm telling you right now, he may be arguably the second best player on the team. And he went down with a hit and then he came back in, and that check again on Giordano also. How's that not a penalty? And they gave, but that could have been a 5-minute major. That's what I'm saying. What do you say, Marty?
I don't know if it would have been a 5-minute major. It definitely was 2 minutes, and they missed that. They gave him a 2-minute roughing penalty because of what happened after the fact. Yeah. I think that was a way of just, I screwed up. Like, the ref was right there looking at it. Yeah. He turned around and it was right in front of him, and he realized he messed up, and he had to call the 2-minute roughing at least. I don't think it was a 5-minute boarding call. It definitely was, or hit behind. It was a 2-minute for sure. But, Knives blocks a shot, hobbles off, comes back again. He's been playing really good for a kid who played in the NCAA just last month. To step up and play at this level and this speed, he's not missing a beat, that's for sure.
Well, and in the NCAA, it is all about speed, right? So you have to play with speed and you have to go. And that's what he's bringing in. It's like, okay, I'm going to do the simple things. I'm going to finish my checks. I'm going to make sure I get the puck right. And I want to be in this lineup. So he's showing that, and he's just keeping it simple.
All right. We're going to be joined by Arthur Fonzarelli now. And look at him. Arthur Fonzarelli right there. All right. He's the guy who said the Maple Leafs will win in 5 games. Marty Roberts, I'll start off with you. Do you want to say anything to, hey, get the cigar out here. This is a program here, Maple Leafs Forever. Come on. Marty, do you want to tell them anything or what?
No, it's just that our predictions are still going and his are not.
Taylor, do you want to tell them anything? Doesn't he look like Arthur Fonzarelli?
Sure. There's a corgi. There's the corgi that predicts all the games in series, and so far he's 100%.
100% wrong or right? Because
right in this series, he's predicted every single game correct.
That's the dog. That's the dog.
So what's he? Do you know what's he predicted for Game 6? By the way, they just announced that he predicted Tampa. He just announced that Game 6 Saturday in Tampa at the Amalie Arena will happen at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. And I hear that the Greek is sending me and Marty Roberts out, and he's paying for we're going to have a little bit of establishment there and maybe a stag or anything like that. So Greek, get your word in. I'm letting you have your words. Go ahead.
It's been a long day. Nice to see you guys. How are we doing today?
I'm doing terrible. How is Justin Hall still on this team?
Don't get me started. First of all, for those of you stupid enough, and on the Fired Up Network, Mometu, not the sharpest people watching this program, very low IQ individuals, obviously, like majority of the viewers from Barrie.
Are you getting fluent now?
Listen, this series should be over. It should be over, Joe. And it should be over. Tampa Bay should have won in 5 games, really. When you really think about it and you watch these games, Tampa Bay was by far the better team in Game 1. They were.
He was actually having a valid point there, too. Bring him back.
Listen, man. Jesus to Murphy, man. I can't get a word in with this. Anyways. Tampa Bay was the better team in Game 1. Game 3, Game 4, Game 5, and somehow the Leafs are still up 3-2. So you ask yourself a question, okay, what's going on here? How'd this happen? And it just reverts back to one individual. If you look at the first goal, you can attribute it, you can pin it square on this donkey's back. If you look at goal number 2, the guy's turning this way, the other guy's that way, pirouette spinning around. Goal number 2. So this guy, unless, I don't know, we're all kind of hockey people. Taylor's probably got a little more savviness, intelligence than us. But I feel like I've been seeing this for not only 82 games. I felt like I saw this in the preseason. I felt like I saw this last year. I'm seeing it every day in the playoffs. Every goal that's scored has one common denominator, right? It's Samsonov in net. We'll get to that later. And Justin Hall somewhere in the middle of things. You look at that first goal. That's right on the guy's back. You score 1-0. The crowd's into it 20 seconds later. This potato head, I don't know what he's trying to do. He's trying to throw open ice checks. He gets left with his jock at the blue line. See you later. Score the goal. Bing, bang, 1-0. I don't know. And yet, somehow, Keith plays him for what? I don't know. It looked like he was on the ice every shift to my eye from my vantage point. What did he play? 25 minutes?
No, 12 minutes tonight. Only 12 minutes. Only 12 minutes tonight.
Hall did not play 12 minutes, man. I seen him on the ice every goddamn shift.
12 minutes. Really? 12 minutes is all he played tonight.
And it was 11 minutes and 59 seconds too long.
Here's what I said before you came on, Billy. It's when you don't even watch the game and you miss the goal and the camera goes right to Hall, you know what, it was his fault. Every time the goal score, the camera goes to Hall.
So here, Billy missed it. What we said, or what I said earlier on, I said, why did Tampa win this game? Yeah, Hall, but also Vasilevsky played like Vasilevsky, got the saves when he needed it, and Samsonov did not. And Vasilevsky, like we talked about, Taylor, stopped Mitch Marner on a breakaway in the third period. That's
fair enough. And also, when you take a look at the line score and the box score at the end of the game, Tampa Bay won a game without Kucherov point or the other potato head Stamkos over there without hitting the score sheet, right? So that's also credit the bottom 6 of Tampa Bay for kind of rescuing that club. And it's an eerie reminder of days gone by in terms of Game 7 of last year. It had a similar feel to Game 7 of last year, where Tampa Bay flooded the ice, where you couldn't get some clear shots to the net. And it also for those of us that are old enough, it reminded me of Game 6 against Boston. If you guys remember, it was a Saturday afternoon. Riley scores the 1-0 goal 2 minutes into the game. Same scenario, right? And Boston comes back, bim, bam, and that series is over. I really fear for the Leafs, because if you guys heard my prediction, I had it two ways, and I guess you only heard the first part. I said Toronto in 5 or Tampa Bay in 7. So for whatever it's worth.
No, we only
Marty's
heard
going to be right here. Marty's going to be right.
We only heard the Tampa Bay in 5 because you just mentioned that the Maple Leafs will win in 5. You also said that they will not lose the whole series. All right.
Listen, man. From game 1, after they get embarrassed, to game 5, you got them by the short ones on home ice. You come out, and again, here's another thing we've realized over the course of this first round of playoffs: home ice means nothing. Absolutely nothing. Home teams are 14-23 to this point in time in the playoffs. It means nothing, absolutely. And again, it's just yet another example of Toronto in elimination games coming up second best.
So I'll start off with you, Billy. Okay, Game
Don't
6.
start off with me. Well, it includes somebody else.
Because you
had a long game, man.
You came 20 minutes too late. Relax. All right.
Listen, I'm not only a sports counselor, also from 1:30.
Sports counselor.
I said caster, announcer. It's been a long day. I save human beings all day, Joseph. From 1:30 to 9, I'm diving into the souls of human beings with some issues, So it's been a long day. Take it easy. All
right. I'll start off with Marty. Okay. I don't believe that the Maple Leafs will win Game 6. Game 6. Is this going back to Scotiabank Arena on Monday?
You know what? I would say it is coming back to Scotiabank Arena. I just don't think Tampa's going to lose 3 games in Tampa in this first round. I just don't see it happening. And Vasilevsky made some big saves today as well. I think it's coming back to Scotiabank Arena. My question is, I want to ask Taylor, seeing she's the professional hockey player, what does Keefe have to tell this Leafs team to start from the beginning instead of waiting until the third period?
They scored a goal 1 minute in. What do you mean start at the beginning?
Hey, so what? That doesn't mean that they started off great. They scored a goal. They didn't show up again until the third period when there's 5 minutes left.
When you're playing, okay, so your big guys, your core guys should know what they're doing, right? Supposedly they're great in the locker room. They're very positive in their leadership. They're pretty driven. So it's like, hey, you got to focus on your bottom 6. And those other players that sort of fill in during that time where they're going to lack, it's like, hey, you got to bring this energy. You got to just do the things, do the simple things, and things are going to happen, right? Look at Tampa's bottom 6, right? They made things happen, and they just kept it simple. So it's like, hey, Toronto, just take a page out of their book. You may not score, right? You're expected not to score. But we don't want you to cost any goals. So it's just more focusing on that bottom 6 and making sure that they're into the game and they could bring that energy like they need to.
50 seconds into the Vegas-Winnipeg game, Vegas hits the body and they score the goal, 1-0 Vegas, leading Taylor's Winnipeg Jets, all right? And I know Billy said the Maple Leafs scored. Did you see anybody throw a check, more than 1 or 2 checks from the Maple Leafs tonight?
Here's what I'll tell you. Number one, and again, this is obviously a tough market, a do or die market. You win, the Stanley Cup's coming. You lose, it's a suicide. So that's the ebbs and flows of playoff hockey, obviously. But think about other markets, what they're experiencing this evening. Like, playoff hockey's not easy to win, right? It's not easy to step on another club and put them down. Take a look at the Panthers. 8th seed, Boston, 130-plus points, whatever the record-setting number that they had. And Boston's having a hard time. I don't know. Would you like to be? What are the New York talk shows and radio stations like this evening? You had a 2-0 lead against the Devils, and you got your backs against the wall, down 3-2. It's hockey.
That's a good question. You know what I'm gonna say? I was listening to New York station. You know what they talked about? Aaron Rodgers. So whatever
the case is, the point of the matter being, it's tough to win, Taylor, in the National Hockey League in the playoffs, especially when you have the other team and their backs against the wall, right? We saw Florida came out, and Florida's got no business with Boston, really, do they? You saw how New Jersey down 2-0. They went into MSG and destroyed them and beat them, and now whipped them at home.
Well, okay, so look at Kachuk, and everyone's like, oh, okay, this guy's a rat. And yes, he's a rat. Like, he's hanging his mouth guard out the whole time. But he's throwing the body. He needs to create something, and who cares if he's going after, like, Allmark there. But, like, okay, a little bit more class than that. But he's getting his team riled up. He's literally doing everything. And there's people that are flowing in. Barkov's back in. That brings energy to a team. And then they also changed off Bobrovsky, putting him in net.
Ask Marty about what do you got to say about our buddy Bobrovsky, Marty Roberts? Our buddy, right? Did you see him? He stood on his head in Game 5. As I told you a long time ago, watch out for big.
Hey, you know what? A blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then.
Or what? It's like 32 saves.
40 for 47. So in other words, Bobrovsky, if he stands on his head, Florida doesn't have a shot to send it to a Game 7 where anything can happen.
Florida's going to win tomorrow, you know that, and Tampa's going to win on Saturday. You know that.
You want to change the future, Joe? Here's what you do if you're Sheldon Keefe. Fortune, as Marty Roberts knows, fortune favors the brave. So you know what I do if I'm behind that bench? You know who's my starting goaltender? I start the kid in Game 6.
Here we
go. I start the kid in
you
Game
only
6.
like him because his first name is Joseph.
Nah, I start the kid in Game 6. That's right, Patty Legs. I start the kid in Game 6, and obviously one of my defensemen is not named. We don't even want to say his name, man. You wouldn't trade that guy for a pack of condoms and Vaseline, man. That guy's he's perhaps, like, honest to God.
You know what? Mometu has this guy strict. If he mentions anything, look at this. Go ahead.
Again, it's just unbelievably inept individual. Inept in every sense of the word. We're talking a guy 6'4" here, even taller than Marty, standing 6'3.5", 6'4". Never throws the body. Gets slapped around everywhere. Anytime there's a scrum, that guy's smelling the gloves. So you're 6'4", you're not a physical presence, and you're prone to giveaways, mental mistakes. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if you guys caught one part of the game when he was below the dots for half an hour skating around. What the hell is wrong with this guy? He's got to pull him and say, you know what, pal, man, you got to go up in the box. You got to go in the box. You cost us that game. You got to go in the box, right? Does he not have to go in the box, guys, or am I gonna ride along 100%?
Everybody, I think, agrees on Taylor's the defenseman. And look, should Taylor, you're the defenseman. Should Justin Hall play another game in a Maple Leaf jersey, let alone playoff games? Go ahead.
They have a ton of defense. They have plenty of talent. Give them a shot. Same as the forwards, right? You have plenty of talent. Give them a shot. This is the time to change things up. So you're at least going to play 2 more games. Okay, you got to play them like do or die.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think a big thing is looking at how many minutes Hall played tonight. That was his lowest of the playoffs. So maybe Keefe is thinking in the back of his mind, we have to get one of the other 3 kids in here to play and sit Hall out. Because like Taylor said, Giordano and Hall are not a good pairing at all. They're just not.
All right. You know what? Bobby Orr and this guy would be a terrible pairing. Like Giordano, obviously, he'd even make Bobby or he'd make Polka, he'd make anybody look terrible, this guy. Like, honest to God, and Toronto's always had its whipping boys going back to the Larry Murphy days and before that. But this guy's as bad a whipping boys I've ever seen. Larry Murphy's a legend compared to this guy. And for some reason, his name's always in the lineup. And again, if I had the opportunity to ask Sheldon Keefe just over a coffee one question, I'd ask him, listen, man, I don't doubt your hockey sense. What do you see in this guy, man? Do you not watch game film?
I think if Muzzin was in, he would be out. He would have been out a long time ago, but since Muzzin got hurt, and that's but like long term,
he's got three other defensemen, not one. I understand,
but that veteran presence.
Yeah, Liljegren. You got Liljegren, the guy from Washington, Gustafson. They traded. They traded Sundin for him. Come on, and the other one, Marty,
Timmins.
Timmins. Come on, one of those three could do the job. Play him 12 minutes. He played 12 minutes, like you said. 12 minutes, and he will not cost a game here. All right?
You could
Put it that way.
any of those three, put it this way, they cannot be any worse. It is relatively impossible to be any worse than this individual. Relatively. You got to be you got to come from the Marty Roberts school of ankle burning on ice to be worse
So
than this individual.
here's another question. So Keith keeps riding this guy, right? Why isn't Shanahan, somebody on top, saying, okay, enough. 1 game, 2 games, 25 games, enough.
Well, and this is scouting. This is basic scouting. You have all your scouts all the way around, right? You're bringing in these people. You made these different trades to make your team better. So why don't you just trust what you saw on video or what they've done throughout the season, right?
Maybe they do trust, but he's overriding them because he has something on Justin.
What does he have, Joe? What could he put? What do you mean? Like some
Sheldon. Okay, then I'll say it right now.
What could he have, man?
I'll say it right now. Then Sheldon Keefe should not be the coach of the Maple Leafs. I don't care if they win the first round, second round, third round. Well, I do care if they win the Stanley Cup. But look, he shouldn't be the coach then. If you could see it, Marty could see it, Taylor could see it, Norm Rumack, who was half blind, could see it. Enough already with this guy. He's the guy who cost us not this game, last year, 2 years ago. Enough. How much more do you have to see? How much more do you have to see that this guy?
I'll tell you this. So hold on. Let me make a little point. So I was in a room watching this at my place of work with about 16 guys, right? 16 guys, counselors. So there's 19 of us, right? 19 of us. Some a little bit, but 19 hockey guys, sort of. And every time Hall touched the puck, you had 18 guys swearing, and one guy that walked away because he's a football fan. He doesn't watch hockey. He loves Liverpool. So you had 18 out of 19 cursing this guy. Most of the guys, and I don't want to disclose, obviously, in Italian, all the worst Italian words you can imagine, every time this guy was on the ice, man. So it's bigger than the four of us, I'll tell you that. It's bigger than the four of us.
Here's something. So my son is doing his teacher's placement in a grade 4 or 5 class, and today they had his party for him, and he's talking to one of his students. He says, "Who's your favorite Maple Leaf?" The kid says, "Justin Hall." Tyler says, "Really?" He says, "Someone has to like the guy," and that was from a grade 4 student.
All right. For enough of Justin Hall here. Okay, so let's get back to Game 6 here, because I think. Is the panel saying that is somebody on the panel saying the Maple Leafs going to win? Marty.
Well, I said 6 because that was my original prediction.
Yeah, but you can see the pictures. Look how many times the guy greases his hair. Come on.
Hey, even if they change up the lineup, I don't think they can rebound back from sort of the slump that they've been in. I think they they've got themselves in a little bit of a mess, and it's going to take more than 60 minutes to get out of that.
All right, so she's saying Tampa. Marty, you said Tampa also, right?
Tampa.
Billy?
What am I supposed to say at this point in time? What am I supposed to say? Really, here's what I'm thinking, that expect the unexpected, right? Expect the unexpected. Conventional wisdom suggests that the Tampa Bay Lightning winning this game are going to go back home, steamroll the Leafs, just like they did relatively easily for 2 periods in Game 3 and 4. That's what conventional wisdom says, right? You got Samsonov, who looks as shaky as he looks. For the most part, it's so interesting because I'm more concerned with Samsonov, not on the goals he's let in, especially the second one, egregious, on some of the saves, on some of the ways he's flopping around, on some of his movements in the crease. To me, that looks like a guy that's like he's swimming. And again, if it was me again, I'd pull the trigger, man. I'd pull the trigger and I'd roll the dice and put the kid in net.
You can't take Samsonov out. The guy is one.
You know what, Marty?
There's 3 games there that they had no reason winning. And he kept them in it. And look, today, as much as he was shaky, he had a 920 save percentage still. So how are you taking him out on a 920 save percentage?
You're asking me. You're asking me again. At this point in time, I don't know what it would do to the room. I don't know what would it do to Sammy. But you know what? Like my gut tells me, you know what? Put that lineup in, flip things around, man. And maybe if you put that kid between the pipes, the Leafs will play a more responsible defensive game. I don't know. I would roll the dice, but again, what do I know?
No, you're rolling the wrong dice. If you're going to make a lineup change, number 3 has to be out. That's the only change
obviously, if you can read the tea leaves, Bunting's back in. Austin Reese will be in the press box for Game 4. Will that make a real big difference? Michael Bunting on the 4th line or wherever he ends up? I don't know. And again,
so we're
difficult to say.
The Leafs are going to lose in Game 6.
I didn't say nothing. I just said I don't know.
All right, whatever. You're saying they're losing, they're winning. Who cares? So
you'll have to watch when it's brought to you by Nicky Borsch Carpets. That's when he'll tell us.
Carpets for life, man. Don't get carpets. What do you mean? Carpets for life, man. Don't you know?
No one pays me, so I don't need to know the name, right?
I pay you heavily here. Now, Game 7.
Where are we on right now?
Do you guys, let me ask you something. When you guys do this show and you're sitting at home, do you do it like standing up or are you leaning back on anything?
No, stand up, Greek. Stand up.
No, I'm not standing up right now. I'm just asking you guys, are you guys leaning back on it? Do you have anything to stand up on?
Yeah, I got a chair like this. Look, there it is. I got a chair.
What about you, Taylor?
I'm on a chair.
We're on chairs.
It feels like standing up. Does your stomach start hurting? It feels like I'm doing crunches, man.
That's good for you then. That's good for you.
So Game 7, we're all calling Game 7 Monday here at Scotiabank Arena. I'm going to say this. If they lose Game 7, is this the worst loss of the 15 years that they lost? But Marty, you'll start us off.
Them losing 3-1 to Montreal a few years ago, that was the worst.
All right, Taylor?
I don't know. There was very high hopes, right? We talked about after Game 4, this is the best lineup the Leafs had for like ever, and the Leafs fans are pretty ratchet. So I don't know. This might be top.
Billy said this is the best team they had. Period. They have offense, defense, everything. If they lose in Game 7, first of all, Sheldon Keefe should resign the minute and Shanahan should be out of there, and Billy should be hired for $1 more than he gets paid here on FiredUp Network. Go ahead.
Obviously, as you guys know, Taylor, I'm the skipper of the East Shore Bulldogs, one of the top baseball minds in the country. I think without a I think that's pretty fair to say.
Yeah, you're right. Marty Roberts is. Thank you.
Ask Marty and he'll tell you one of the baseball minds in the country. And I say this as humbly as I can. Right?
Charlie Montoya?
Joe, please don't interrupt me, man. I'm putting a little piece together here. So I'm not as sharp, like when it comes to the X's and O's of hockey and getting inside that room and all that stuff, I'm not as sharp, obviously, as I am in baseball. But I'll tell you this. If I had the Leafs over the last 7 years, I would have won one first-round series. I guarantee you that. I would have got one. I would, just by motivation, something like I would have got one. I know would have got one, right? And it just so happens, how many times can you continue to go back, lose, and run the same people back, the same core, the same management, the same front office? At some point in time, what do they say about insanity? It's doing the same thing, expecting different results, right? And if the results aren't different with 2 more games left, and given that they shit the bed this one, Tampa Bay dead to rights, man, at home. Game 5, them dead to rights. Now, you know what? Really, it's an even series. Forget the 3-2. Toronto's up 3-2, but they just held serve to this.
Oh, great. He'll be back.
He's had so many good points today, and he keeps getting cut out.
He's been on a roll today.
Yeah.
Listen, Game 6 is in Tampa. The series is pretty much even. Today was the game, man. Today I told, in my mind, I said, if you don't win in this game, you know what? Here's what's going to happen. People like me, Marty, Taylor, are going to start questioning you. It's going to get to their heads. They're going to start squeezing their sticks. And then before you know it, you're going to be down 1-0 in Game 7, halfway through the second period against Tampa Bay, with them flooding that neutral zone with, it looks like 15 guys. When Tampa Bay's got a lead at the ACC, it looks like they got 15 guys on the ice. You can't breathe, man. Meanwhile, Toronto and Tampa Bay, it looks like there's room to skate, especially in the third period. They come here, especially in do-or-die games, and Tampa Bay just swallows them up, man. And that's a credit to Cooper.
Well, I got good news for you, Greek. I mentioned Game 1 in the AHL playoffs, the Toronto Marlies and Utica Comets in overtime. And guess what? The Toronto Marlies do what the Maple Leafs don't. They beat them in overtime, winning at home 1-0 on the best 3 out of 5.
What is it,
Congratulations.
3-2 final?
No, 6-5 final. 6-5
Ooh.
final.
Did you have
Marlies
the
winning.
over?
Yeah, I had the over. By the way, Greek and Taylor and Marty, you know what? You should bet AHL. They got really good odds in AHL, all right? Look at the AHL here. All right, so Maple Leafs losing at Game 5 here at home, and the crowd is, disappointed. Imagine, every game they raised up ticket prices. At the start of the game, what did they say? The average ticket price today was what I pay Greek, $625. Standing room only, by the way. Taylor, listen to this. Standing room only, meaning you don't have a seat, you stand up. $195 a ticket. $195 a ticket to watch what? The Maple Leafs again lay an egg, all right? Lay an egg. So let's get through the NHL here. A couple games we want to touch on. Of course, New Jersey, like Billy mentioned, New Jersey.
Hold on. Can I just share something with you guys before you go on? I just pressed a button here and I didn't know, right? On my computer. I was just fumbling around. And I'm on full screen now, man. Like I can see all four of you. Like I did technology.
He just interrupted the president of provinces of Canada to find out that. Look, come on.
You gotta love technology, baby.
So let's talk about New Jersey going back home and laying the wood to the Rangers 4-0. They lead 3-2. Marty, start us off.
That's a surprise, right? Because I thought the Rangers are winning this. Now they're down 3-2. New Jersey might be able to take them here. I don't know. Like it's, all the trades the Rangers have made before the playoffs to get to this spot aren't working. So, to be 3-2 down against New Jersey, is it good? Did you say it's going back to New Jersey now?
No, it's going to the Rangers.
The Rangers? So no matter what, if it goes 7, it's back in New Jersey, right? So New Jersey, I think, probably as much as I thought Ranger, I think New Jersey wins the series now.
By the way, New Jersey outshot them 43-23 today. Taylor, what do you think of that game?
Well, originally, right, all the games were won on the road, right, with the series. And I said Jersey in 7 just because they were consistent. They're fun to watch. They have that youthfulness, and they've also been growing that team. So the Rangers, they picked up players and at the last minute for momentum. Now they're sort of just nice Jersey sells at this point. But, I still ride the Devils.
Billy?
That's going really, if you look back in history and you got Rangers Devils, you know where that's going not right from the hop, but right from right now. It's going to Game 7 and it's going to overtime of Game 7. Historically, when those two clubs get together, that's how series end between those two clubs. And I think it's no different this time. You're going to find a winner, and I don't know who it is. Again, flip a quarter. Overtime, Game 7, flip a quarter. But at the end, I'd have to favor Shesterkin and some of the guys with experience.
Here we go again. All right, so Taylor, I'll go to you now. Vegas and Winnipeg. Right now, it's Vegas leading 1-0. But the key thing for Winnipeg here is if they lose, their season's over. But maybe their team, as we know it, is over because they got pending free agents galore. Big name players in Winnipeg are free agents. They're not going to sign everybody. This could be the end of sort of era in Winnipeg here because a couple years ago they made the Western Conference Final. Go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, and honestly, I think even too, if they win a couple of games, I said they're going to win one, but they should make some changes, cultural things, even just players. It's hard to bring in players to Winnipeg because it's Winnipeg, but at the same time, they need to start that process. They have the coach coming in, they have the goaltender still for a few years coming up, and they need to start that process like, hey, let's become this caliber team while they still have a couple pieces. Hopefully they win tonight, but unfortunately a lot of injuries sort of bit them in this series. They started off hot and then they got injured.
You mentioned Winnipeg. How bad is it in Winnipeg? Because I was going to send the Greek there and because it's really cheap flights and everything like that. Do you think the Greek could survive Winnipeg?
There was floods actually last week, and then it sort of miled down because it froze over. So there's frost, but I don't think you will because it's minus 40 out there.
Hold on. I don't want to take a walk now a la Norm Rumack, but I got a couple mink coats in the closet, man. That'll keep me warm.
All right. Let's look at a preview for tomorrow's games. A lot of games here. Start off with the Greek. Carolina against the Islanders in New York. Carolina leads the series 3-2. Is it going to
I got that series going 7-2. So give me the Islanders. If the Islanders can go in and win Game 5 and handle Carolina, then again, Carolina's got a couple of injuries. I'm not sold on their goaltending situation, and I look for that to go 7. So for it to go 7, as Marty Roberts would know, the team that's trailing 3-2 has to win the game, right, Marty? Is my math correct on that?
That's what's the word, correct.
Thank you.
All right, Marty, go ahead. What do you say about the Islanders, Carolina?
I thought Carolina would win that series. I'm still going to go. But I think Carolina wins tomorrow. I really do.
You just want to go against me. No matter what I say, you just want to go against the Greek. Is that right?
Yeah.
No problem. Yeah. All right. So, Taylor, what do you say? And then we'll go to Boston.
Well, first, that goal that hit off of Aho's face, that hurt. That hurt me a lot. Hopefully he has all of his teeth. But I think the Hurricanes are still going to win it. They'll win it in 6. The Islanders, yeah, you know what? They have some players that need to come back and sort of wake up in the series. But at this point, it's just you got to play your hockey and you know that game. And the Hurricanes are pretty steady.
That game's at 7:30. I'll start off with Taylor here. Boston and Florida, of course. Florida winning yesterday, and it's 3-2. Are we going to go Boston, the best team ever in regular season, like Billy says? Are we going to go to Game 7?
Man, I said Boston in 5, so I really hope Boston in 6. You know what? Boston's just been stellar throughout the regular season. Even when they battled back last game, they played hard-nosed, and then unfortunately just like Allmark just wanted to play dead or something, making that save. But I still have them winning, and they're going to win Game 6.
All right, Marty.
Well, I thought we were going to let Billy go, so whoever he picks, I'm going opposite of.
Billy goes last. Billy goes last.
All right, now
he has like 2 rebounds.
Boston is winning. I don't think Allmark plays as poorly as he did last game. I think he shows up tomorrow, and I think Boston wins it tomorrow.
Go ahead, Billy.
You know where I'm going with this. From the get-go, I had the series going 7, and I got Florida in 7. So again, here's where I'd be concerned if I'm a Panthers fan. That team looks a lot better on the road than they do at home. Right? If the 2 remaining games were in Boston, I think they'd have a better chance to win those than actually on their home ice. But again, you never know. You struggled games 3 and 4 at home. You just might come out. You might come out and home ice might be an advantage. I know last change, this kind of stuff. But again, I can't get over the fact how so many of the home clubs in the first round have struggled to this pursuit. Less than 40% of the home ice clubs have won. I don't recall seeing that before. Like, you think of home ice as an advantage historically, and it's been anything but. It's been a disadvantage as a matter of fact. So will that trend continue moving forward? Or does home ice in the latter parts of series, Taylor can answer this better, in Game 6 and Game 7 become important? Because through 5 games, it hasn't been important anywhere, really.
I think even too, as the playoffs go on, I think just building as like we have this team to ride on now. They've shown like they can play this playoff hockey, and I think as it goes down the stretch, they just become more loyal to their team. But yeah, like Florida could bring that spunk, right? You saw it last game. Like they could play that gritty game. They have that sort of eye around the net. They could shoot, right? Their defense could shoot. Forwards could shoot. So yeah, anything could happen, but I just think they might run out of luck.
Yeah, here's the thing that I would say, Joe. Let me jump in there before Marty chimes in. Here's what I would say, and again, I've been stuck on this guy for a long time. I don't know why, but Bobrovsky can be the best for 60 minutes or 120 minutes. He's shown in the past. You'd have to go back a ways, mind you, but he's shown in the past he can be the best goaltender in the world for 60 or 120, but he's also shown that he can be one of the worst, right? As you've seen. Like, this guy didn't sign a long-term contract for $10 million plus because he was chopped liver. Let's not forget that. Somebody gave him that money. They don't give money to goaltenders like that unless you have some kind of pedigree. And I believe that this guy's got a lot to prove, man. He's got a lot to prove. The other young guy started in Florida. He jumped in. Like, I can envision a way where Bobrovsky stands on his head and steals that series.
All right, Marty, you want to start off with the other game tomorrow? It is Dallas and Minnesota. Dallas leading 3-2.
Yeah, I had Dallas from the start, but I thought once Pavelski went down, I thought Dallas was going to be in trouble. I really did. But you know what? Seguin stepped up. So I think Dallas wins this. I really do.
Speak English so that people on Mometu can understand you. It's Seguin, not Seguin. He's not French,
Seguin.
Buddy.
I said
you
Seguin.
didn't, man.
All right,
Joe.
Hey, you know what that is?
Be honest.
The Greek is right, Marty. The Greek is right.
Marty, please.
We're going to play it back. I said Seguin.
This is an English program, Marty, not French. Please, from the Mometu Network. They don't understand French.
Hey,
please.
Be quiet. It's the grumbling of your stomach that you're hearing.
Okay.
All right. So, Greek, who you got in this one?
I don't know, man. I don't care.
I don't know. All right. Thank you, Taylor. Go ahead.
I picked Dallas right at the start. I thought that the series was going to go to 7 just because it's two teams that are battling. They've had some experience and they've built to this moment. Maybe Dallas is just going to win it tomorrow, but I have Dallas taking the series.
All right, so I'll start off with the Greek of this one. This could be a surprise of all surprise. Tomorrow, 10 p.m., Colorado fighting for their lives in Seattle.
I got this game locked, man. For those of you that gamble and those of you that might be watching on here for betting purposes, I will guarantee you that. I guarantee you this. This game 6 is going to overtime. Mark it from here, mark it from now. I'm not telling you who's going to win in overtime, but this game 6 I'm overtime to pick an overtime.
Tell me gambling. You're gambling. Okay.
Smart. Let me finish, Joe. Please don't interrupt. Let me finish. If you pick an overtime game, as some of the degenerates on here that know what a sports wager is, you get 3.5 to 1 times your money right off the hop. Doesn't matter who wins. So anybody watching, take that game to overtime and thank me tomorrow. I guarantee you, man. I guarantee you. Remember those words. It's right here on Mometu, and there's at least 17 people watching this Mometu outfit, right? So there's 16 of them are going to make a little cash.
Did you know we're also on Roku, Amazon Fire TV sticks? Also, we're on Samsung TV Plus and Apple TV and Android TV. Marty, who do you call on this one?
You know what? What's
Marty doing?
Marty's saying just the game's not going to go to overtime. That's all he's going to say.
The upset I thought, the sleeper I thought was Seattle. As much as I had Colorado going all the way, Seattle was my sleeper pick. The problem with Seattle is, can they win a back-to-back games without McCann? You know, McCann was lost early in game 4 with a late hit. Is he going to be back for tomorrow? I don't know if any reports are out yet. But if McCann is in the lineup, I can see Seattle winning tomorrow night and knocking Colorado out. I can see that.
Hold on, Marty. Will you make it official because you've just had your bets
in overtime? In overtime.
All right. Will you make it? How about this? We'll let you make your pick at the 19-minute mark of the third period. I think that's fair. I just said
Seattle. If McCann's in, it's Seattle.
I have the video. You came on here. You said Colorado at the beginning of the series. I have.
Joe, what did I say? Joe, what did I just say? I said I had Colorado. My sleeper pick was Seattle.
Yeah, and after it went 3-2, you had Seattle.
I never said I had Seattle. Why don't you listen? Right. Clean the wax out of your ear. I said I had Colorado going to the finals.
And now you got Seattle after
you just told everyone that your guarantee is this game's going overtime. But you said your guarantee was the Leafs in 5.
Well, hold on. So
what is it? We got another guarantee that people are going to lose their money.
No, he said Florida and 7. Don't forget he said Florida and 7.
No. It's not that easy, pal. I had the Leafs in 5 after they got blown out 7-2. And you know what? If Justin Holt didn't play on the Leafs, the Greek would have been right, man. He not only cost him the series, he tainted my reputation, pal. I was right on the money. Well, everybody was right on the money, but I couldn't account for Justin Holt, pal.
It was tainted long before Justin Holt.
Nah. I was right on the money.
On our team. What's his name? Anyways,
Seguin?
No, Justin on our team. What's his name? Levert. Sorry.
Laverne.
Taylor knows who we're talking about. Taylor, who do you got between Seattle and Colorado tomorrow
Man,
night?
this was like my potential sweep of Colorado being the Kraken, but I think Seattle's actually going to take it. Just what
In overtime,
Colorado
right?
said. Oh, sure. McKinnon's like, hey, this is the hardest playoff series I've ever played. And plus they have some off ice drama going on. You can't really overshadow that. That takes a lot. So I think Seattle's going to take it regardless, just how they play.
Do we know the status? There's a guy on Colorado. He's a defenseman. He's not bad. Do we know his status for Game 7?
Yeah, he was only suspended.
Hey?
He was suspended for 1 game.
So he's back in for Game 7.
Babushkin probably not back in. Babushkin might not be back in yet.
Here we go again. All right. So
he's back in for Game 6, correct?
Yeah, it was a 1-game suspension.
That's a big. I think we can all agree here, man. That's a big difference, right? That's arguably. Can you guys say that's not arguably the best player in the world this side of McDavid?
Yeah, but Seattle won twice with him in the lineup, so.
But they didn't. They won twice with him, but not an elimination game. You know that's the hardest one to get, Marty Roberts.
Yeah, the Leafs know that very well.
Absolutely. 0-10. Who was the referee tonight, by the way? Was it Wes McCauley?
No, it wasn't. But Taylor, I know you got to go. The gang's going to stay on a little bit more here, but tell everybody how they could get a hold of you. And you got any news on the Taylor Woods front?
Hopefully by next week. I'm hoping to put pen to paper by next week. Quote me on that. He's smiling a lot more. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Tay_storm or at on Instagram at T Woods Training. Almost forgot about that. I'm doing a bench press competition on Saturday. So
how much can you bench?
We'll find out on Saturday.
Well, give us a little, like, where are you at comfortably? Just in case you wanted to go toe to toe with these guys right here. I'm just curious.
Listen, this guy's stuck in the thumb wrestling war. Now he's talking about.
I'm asking a question. I'm making conversation, Joe, for the people. What are you at?
I did some sets and reps at 100 kilograms.
How many pounds is that? Don't confuse me.
205.
205?
No, 221.
221.
Jeez, man, I'm up to 52 pounds, man. I gotta. So there's a little discrepancy there, eh? You're at 220?
Yeah.
I gotta hit the gym hard, eh? Okay, all right. We'll get on it. And make sure when you sign your money, it's in US dollars, not crypto cash, all right?
Oh, yeah.
Just a little advice.
And by the way, I thought he was going to say, once you get pen to paper, you're taking him out for coffee, right?
And he's taking me out to Harvey's, right?
Without a doubt.
All right.
Taylor listens good. Taylor listens good.
It would be my pleasure.
Sounds
said
good.
that to me
With
too,
Marty's
Taylor.
money. With Marty's money.
Marty,
all right.
He's washed up.
That's Isabel Cup champion and Arnold champion Taylor Woods. We'll see you hopefully on Saturday. Yeah, Taylor. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right.
Bye,
Take
Taylor.
care. That's Taylor.
Holy
So we're going to continue here. We won't talk about hockey. All right. We're going to talk about everything else. We'll start off with the NBA because Greek, we got more fluent. Some guy said there's no way that the New York Knicks will win and get to the second round. Some guy said that he talks to Dolan all the time. You were on the show. And what happened? Can you tell everybody who's watching here what happened?
Here's what I would say. Sometimes when you're doing this, obviously you can't let emotion get the best of you. Obviously, the gentleman we're talking about, I forget his name. Just again, it does a basketball, pretty good guy. I forget his name anyways. But he has a personal animus towards the New York Knickerbockers, and you can't let that affect your judgment, because if you do, then you'll realize that when you're talking about the Knicks, you're talking about guys like Mitchell Robinson, Quigley. You're talking about Hart. You're talking about even an improved Barrett. That's a pretty deep team. That roster runs 8-9 deep, and with Thibodeau as coach, I'm not surprised at all, because when you look at Cleveland, aside from the big men, you got Donovan Mitchell, who again has never sold himself to me as he can score the basketball. Don't get me wrong, but Donovan Mitchell's never, in my mind, entered the conversation of the top 15, 20 players in the NBA. He's a top 15, 20 scorer, no doubt about it. But top scorer and top player are two different things. And and Cleveland pitched their whole wagon on him. You got guys like Garland who are a dime a dozen. You got guys like the big man in the middle, Mobley, who got pushed around by Hartenstein and Robinson. And again, no surprise for me anyways. And I believe Drew Ebanks was on point there too, disagreeing with that.
Except one other guy. So
yeah, disagreeing with, I forget his name again, just some guy. Anyways, yeah, it's some dude that comes and does basketball on here. Prides himself on being an expert, but again, even experts like him, and I admit he's a pretty smart guy, but he kind of put his foot in his mouth, and a way like obviously that I never would, but that's a different story. I'm a more seasoned individual.
Greek, I'm going to ask you this, and then I'll chime in with Marty here. You're known as the Greek, Billy the Greek. Also, in Milwaukee, they have a guy, the Greek Freak, taken after you a little bit. Yeah. But Miami beating Milwaukee 4-1, play-in seed, finally winning a series, and Jimmy Butler, like we talked about the last time you were on here. Last time he scored 56. Last night he scored 38. This guy's on a roll. We could see now either the Knicks or Miami in an Eastern Conference final.
Absolutely. And first of all, when you talk about Miami, you can't tell. They were in the play-in, absolutely, but they were by far like bordering on 6-7. They weren't never in any kind of danger of missing the play-in, right? As at 5, there were 8 games over 500, and Miami has a pedigree, especially with the head coach and some of their guys. They have a pedigree. Obviously, the loss of Tyler Hero didn't help, but when you got Jimmy Butler playing all world, and again for those 2 games, especially games 4 and game 5. He was not only the best player in the NBA, but he put performances on that we haven't seen the likes of over the last 10 years. Those are 2 individual performances that just took a team on his back. And in the NBA, you can do that, right? You can very much do that, Marty. Whereas in other sports, it's hard to put a team on your back, right? But in the NBA, you can do that. And Jimmy Butler, virtuoso performances. And again, those in my eyes, been watching basketball for 40 years. Those rate as those 2 games are in the top 10 of individual performances that I've witnessed in the history of my life.
All right. Marty, you want to talk anything about an NBA? Because I'll continue on.
I haven't watched a single NBA. I told you this. I haven't watched a single NBA game all year, and I'm not going to start.
All right. And Boston did in Atlanta tonight, so they qualified for the second round, 128-120. That was the score for tonight. So, Greek, I'll go to one more question about NBA, and then you can see the background. Great job by the producer. Blue Jay Strike Zone coming up in 2 minutes here. But, Greek, we know about 2 matchups in the second round already. We got Phoenix and Denver. Who are you calling in this one?
That's for me. Given what I saw. In terms of the Clippers, and especially in the 2 games with Kawhi, I don't see Phoenix as being a deep team. And if you can hold Booker down, like the only way Phoenix wins is if between Booker and Durant go off for 70 a game, because that team is they give away a lot of their depth for those guys. So Denver's got the stronger rotation, number 1 seed, home court advantage. So for me, it's going to have to be Jokic and the Nuggets.
All right, so Jokic and the Nuggets. So I touched on this one, but we'll talk on your prediction. The Knicks and the Heat.
Ooh, man, that's gonna be some beautiful basketball, especially from a defensive end, where you're gonna see actually defense being played probably for the first time in about 6 months for a lot of clubs. So I'm interested to see again. I can't see. I like the Knicks. I like the Knicks because I can't see the only way Miami wins if Butler plays out of his mind, right? And I just can't see Butler in terms of his history. He can have a couple of games. I've never known Jimmy Butler to be a consistent guy in terms of his outside shot, right? That comes and it goes for Butler. When he gets hot, he gets red hot, but he can go ice cold just like that, right? And he's never shown me the consistency that can play that kind of basketball over a 2-week, 3-week stretch. So I believe that he had his moments, but the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Final. Shout out to James Dolan and the what's his name?
All right, and just since Boston won, we have another matchup: Boston and Philly. Go ahead. I know who you're gonna pick, but go ahead, and then we'll talk about
As Marty would know, obviously, as he's followed the game over the years. Marty, big fan of Larry Bird. They used to call Marty Larry Jr. back in high school. Guy can shoot from out. He's got range the minute he walks into the gym. The old lefty. So again, that's a dogfight. It all comes down to Embiid's health, right? If Embiid is not healthy and Embiid's not 100%, then Philadelphia's got no chance. Runs around Embiid, but I got to roll the dice, assume Embiid's healthy, and take the Sixers in 6 at home to wrap it up on home court. Because again, the NBA, when you're talking about home court advantages, there's not a bigger one than the NBA when you're talking about game sevens, and that 75% of the time it goes to the home club, right? So that's an advantage there. Give me the Sixers in 6 games.
All right, now sit back, Billy. You did enough talking. Let the guy who should be the
Well,
East
again, I watch, but the difference is, like, I'm a kind of guy that I know everything about anything. Like, you can ask me about tennis, croquet, this and that. I'm a 10-tool guy, whereas Marty's just a baseball specialist.
Who did the Buffalo Bills? Who's the Buffalo Bills picking?
I'm saving lives at that time. How can I know? I would guess a running back. If I didn't know better, I would guess the running back.
I don't think they have made their pick yet. All right, lay back there.
Hold on. Has Bijan Robinson gone yet in the draft?
How would I know? I'm saving lives. I'm doing Fired Up Network come on.
Geez,
go Google it. Let me and Marty, the two guys here, talk. So Billy knows a guy in Seattle. He knows a guy in Seattle, former Blue GT Oscar Hernandez. Billy has texted me earlier today. Watch Hernandez go off for 4 home runs this series. Do you want to take? By the way, Billy, hold on. No, Marty, I just made a calculation. What's the Blue Jays record right now, Marty?
Wow, what are they? 16-9 or 17-9?
Yeah, 16-9. So that means they have to win 79 games out of the next 122 to get 95 wins. Do you think that's possible?
Absolutely.
So now do you agree with Marty that they're going to win 95 games?
Not until I see the changes that I'm looking for, no.
But you just said they
Of course it's possible. It's also possible that Gosman blows an elbow, your bullpen falls apart, and you win.
Yeah, okay. That is not an excuse. If they he did say they'll win 95 games if they stay healthy. He did say that.
Look again. 95 is a rather ambitious number to get to 95, especially in the AL East, right? To get to 95, you got to have some kind of adjustments. I got to see. Maybe if you ask me in a month, maybe I'll go back on what I said. But I got to see Pearson. I got to see the bullpen, and I got to see the Blue Jays moving forward in terms of when some of their guys at 2, 3, 4 start cooling down. Right, the offense looks good. Obviously, you're winning. You're playing good baseball. You're pitching. Your staff is gone 7 starts in a row. But I want to see you when you're in the midst of your schedule and some of your hitters go cold. Then I'd like to see how the Blue Jays respond. But so far, good start. You beat the White Sox.
So basically, like any other team you would look at, you're saying the same thing because every team's the exact same.
Absolutely not, Marty.
It's the same thing.
I would need to see for you to ask me, like, you know what concerns I have. Obviously, I gotta concern the middle of the batting order, and I gotta concern the back end of the bullpen. That hasn't changed for me. I still have that concern, and if that concern was addressed for me, then I would sign off on the 95 wins as a distinct possibility. In my estimation now, it's a remote possibility. And again, I could be wrong, but that's where I'm at in terms of the way that I view things. And as Donald Trump, I'm entitled free speech, pal. I'm entitled, right? Just because I'm a Republican, man, and I don't like this. Enough, I'm entitled to free speech. I can't be censored, Joe, on Mometu, man. The fans know that I love the Donald. Doesn't matter, man. I'm still All
right. Go to Fox with Tucker. All right. So here it is. Tomorrow night, 7:07, Seattle and the Blue Jays. Alek Manoah takes to the mound. Let's give a small preview here. Marty, you go first. You think the Blue Jays continue with their momentum from the White Sox series?
You know what? They're facing Castillo, so that's a tough get right there because we saw what he did to them last year in the playoffs, that 4-0 victory. in game one of their playoffs against Seattle. Castillo is a legit guy. I know Billy was like last year was like, no, he's overrated. No, he's not overrated. He's pretty damn good.
It was a big price to pay, though.
Being in Cincinnati, you didn't get to see how good he was. Now you're getting to see how good he is when he got moved to Seattle. So it's going to be a good game tomorrow. If Manoah is on like he was last game, this is going to be a 2-1 type of ball game. And I think the Jays could come out on top only because they got different ways of scoring runs now, and they don't have to live and die by the home run this year.
Castillo's 2-0 with a 1.52 ERA.
Yeah, he's I wish the Jays had got him. I would have paid whatever it was to get that kid. He's a guy, and look, and then once he got there, he signed an extension with Seattle. So he wants to be there. He's a guy that the Jays could have had. He would have fit nicely in that top of our rotation.
All right, Billy, go ahead.
Again, it's hard to disagree with the numbers. It's hard to disagree with the guy's performance. At that time, it was, and it still is, an awfully big price to pay for Castillo at that time. And if you're asking me if I was pulling that trigger, for me, he's not proven enough in my eye to pay a king's ransom in terms of what's maybe. Again, I could be wrong. I wouldn't have paid that. But here's what I'll tell you about Castillo facing the Blue Jays tomorrow. And this is one of the benefits of mixing up your lineup and you have some left-handed guys. It's a lot different for Castillo with that slider to pitch to 9 right-handed guys that are swinging for the fences, right? Whereas a lineup that's got the Merrifields, that's got the Kiermaiers, that's got the Belts, that's got some left-handed hitters, will give them a harder time probably than game one of the series would. Like the Blue Jays, despite their successes, were susceptible last year as an all right-handed hitting lineup to guys that throw like Castillo, upper 90s with breaking stuff away. And those are the guys that Jays had a hard time handling, and they should be a little better, you would figure, right, Marty, to handle guys like that this year with the changes in the lineup.
You definitely think that, right? It's not. They showed it early. They haven't had to rely on the home run ball like they have in the past years. And guys getting on base, guys stealing. Merrifield's running like he was 3-4 years ago, stealing bases when he gets on. Guys are, and we've seen it with Chapman too. He's not going for the home run all the time. He just wants to get on base, and that's what we see with Kiermaier at the bottom of that order. Is he's happy just to hit a single, get on base, and let the guys at the top of the order get on. I think we have to look and see, is Springer going to be playing tomorrow after taking the ball off of his hand?
And right? Also, obviously, and then Toronto, obviously, in that series facing a guy that's probably arguably one of the best pitchers in the game, and Robbie Ray, right? It's not easy. I said, Jeff, you're obviously,
Robbie
go
Ray.
Ahead, Matt. Obviously, you wanted to have a conversation.
I'm not going to tell you I told you so, because one guy once told me that self-praise.
Self-promotion. That's all you've been doing lately.
Hey, I don't want to self-praise myself, but I will. I will do this.
You know what?
But why did I say I didn't like Robbie Ray, Billy? As I said, he pitches every time he throws, it's with the most force he can possibly have when he's throwing a baseball. And I thought that was going to come back and bite him in the ass, and it has. And now he's out for the year with a surgery on a tendon from his forearm.
Here's what I'll tell you, and this is not easy for me to say, obviously, on Mometu TV. I've known you for quite a while now, and this is the first time where there's no doubt about it, like where you're actually 100% right, and I got to swallow my pride and say Marty was right and the Greek was wrong. And again, Joe, you got to do it sometimes, right? This guy said that Robbie Ray, I was on the Robbie Ray re-sign, I don't want God's bandwagon, and obviously I was on the wrong end of that bandwagon. Furthermore, Marty reinforced his point and said that the way he watches Ray's delivery, he's a arm injury waiting to happen. So kudos to the old lefty, man. It is.
See what I have here, Billy? See this here? So I had this as you being right today if the Leafs had 1-5. I had a whole thing out here to say that you were right, and now I just got to throw it away.
Wow, man. You know what? I don't mind about
why you weren't right.
I don't mind about being wrong in that, because even to get to 5 was a miracle given after game 1, right?
You're right.
You would have thought that at least we're going to get to, just for me to get to game 5, obviously I would have liked to seal the deal. Stop looking at the time. We're going all night long, Joe.
I'm not going all night long.
Here,
You know,
we'll go.
and,
Here,
and,
I'll
and
do the
again,
Jays.
extremely frustrating that an opportunity was missed, not only for a loyal fan base that's going to suffer for another night and well into the morning and through the weekend, but again, it hurts my reputation and my chances with T Woods.
So Vegas, what I'm looking is Vegas scored, but they're replaying it because it's probably a high stick. Winnipeg is going to challenge it. It's a high stick,
It's
but if
over.
it goes through, it's Vegas leading 2-0. And the reason why he was wrong, he wasn't fluent when it came to that pick. Okay, he wasn't fluent.
Here's what I'll say, Joe. About we're talking Blue Jays. You got Castilla. If the Jays can get by Castilla tomorrow with Manoah, I think Seattle's throwing Flexen and Gonzalez is the next two guys.
And we got their second and third, Gosman
and Barrios, right? So if
no,
they can somehow,
Bassett.
I mean Bassett. If we could somehow pull off tomorrow and win that, this could be another sweep for the Jays with how this starting rotation is going. Now, is Bassett going to throw? I guess we'll see if his back issue is still a problem at that time. Because when I just looked, they did not have Game 2 and Game 3 starters for the Jays, but they did for Seattle.
Well, right now it's I'm looking and it says Bassett Game 3 and Game 2. So Gosman for Game 2. So, and by the way, after this series, Blue Jays again hit the road for 9 games with Boston, actually 10. Boston, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh. So again, what did they play? 16 road games already? So by the start of May, middle of May, they'll have 26 road games. 26 road games.
Which again, hold on. Yeah, by the end of the season, here's what I've found out in my many years of following the game, that every team plays 81 games on the road.
Really?
It's universal. Everybody plays 81.
He looks like the Godfather. Look at him sitting in that chair.
How you play him, when you play him, all right. But that bodes well for the Jays. If you can have a difficult schedule and still come out 10, 12 games over 500, right? You're setting yourself up very nicely for a second half. Here's what I'll tell you from another gambling perspective, and this is a parlay. So earlier I give you Colorado and Seattle in the overtime, right? You're gonna parlay that with a Marty. This is called the Marty Roberts special. Mometu, pay attention, you knuckleheads on Mometu. I know you like to make cash, especially some of you guys down by the border. Anyways, pay attention.
Mometu, shut them down. They don't want anyone making any money.
I had a talk about this earlier this morning. What's going on with
here? This is for all my fans south of the border. I'm talking Texas, El Paso, all my men down deep south. I know you guys want a little cash, so pay attention. There's something called ice hockey. I don't know if you know this. Ice hockey. You know, with the sticks? You ever watch Slapshot? That guy. Ice hockey. Seattle. They got a team and it's called the Kraken. Pay attention, because a lot of you guys are like not too smart, obviously. The Kraken and the Avalanche. Overtime. Right? And then you're going to parlay that with a Manoah against Castillo over. Like, you know, when the two guys like that, Marty, get together, the first thing that comes out of your mouth is 2-1, 1-0, 3-2. And by the third inning, it's 7-4 somehow. Those are classics in that kind of way. And if my memory's right, that's going to fall into the same line. And you'll probably get that number at 6.5, maybe 7, right? So they're your picks for tomorrow, Joe.
All right. And by the way, the last time the Blue Jays played the Seattle Mariners, what was the score?
It looked like 9-8, didn't it?
9-8,
yes. Final?
Yes, and do you remember who was starting for the Blue Jays?
That was Marty's guy.
That was Gosman. Got taken out early. The early line right now for Castillo and Manoah, 8.5.
Wow, so they're on to 8.5. So that
now, do you change your pick?
At 8.5, I'd have to look at it absolutely, because everything there points to the under, right? But it's a stinky game because when it's that obvious, in my experience, it usually goes the other way. Wow.
All right. So we're going to conclude. We're going to conclude Maple Leafs forever, but I want to do a special shout out. Greek, maybe you can help me with the special shout out. Your friend, Carpets for Life, has a function this weekend, so I want to wish him, his family, a very great celebration there. But maybe you want to elaborate on that.
I got a couple.
Since somebody was supposed to send me some tickets, but somebody did not.
Well, if you show up at 7601 Jane Street at 9:45, you have a good time.
Wait. Is that on Friday or Saturday? That's the question.
Friday.
Because Saturday.
That's on Friday.
Yeah, it was Marty. Saturday we're going to a stag. All right, I'm supposed to take my son up, but we'll see what we can do. And he sends me a ticket. It's Friday.
Here, listen, but you know what? Because I didn't know the exact date, but I figured, you know what? If you're having a stag, you're not having it at the end of the work week. I'd imagine you're having it on a Saturday. I just took a guess. I thought it was the last Saturday in April, right? But nevertheless, you change the days and you make the adjustments. Nick Borch, he's got a kid. He's getting married, so we're going to go out there, support him. Maybe I'm going to sit down in poker and maybe go home with $400 or $500.
Is there a dress code for this function?
What dress code? If you know the Greek, man, you can go with your robe.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I have a question.
I've seen what you wear. You wear nice suits that are,
Little
30
snug.
years too small. And, I'm wearing a toque or a hat and some track pants. Is that okay?
Well, again, I don't know if you want like security to look at you and
Yes, this is what I want to know. Since it's a function and all that, are you bringing the late night vampire and his balls?
Look, man, tickets are kind of pricey. So again, it's a limited supply, limited selection, and again, that's a Storm and Norman.
But you need security. You just said you needed security.
Whatever I'm not responsible for everything that goes on, but for anybody, I don't know. All you got to do is bring a pocket full of money. 7601. I'm sure they're going to put on a good show over there. It's a great banquet hall. Actually, I'm familiar with the facility.
I know that.
It's a great banquet hall, and carpets for life, man. That guy's not cheap. He's got a lot of cash, right? So he's going to put on something nice for his boy. There's going to be obviously a little situation there, some titties. You know how that story goes, right? Well, obviously we got to tell like it is, right?
How many of them I talked about balls. How many of them are you going to see then? All right. So, and by the way, for Saturday.
How to take a show down the crapper right there.
There it is. And this guy's going to see he has to go to crap 2 seconds after we finish.
Hey, Joe, you do know that a stag is at night and you'd have to leave your house, right?
Yes, I do know that.
All right,
but,
that's why Billy never said
Joe wants to show up there from his camera on the thing and take pictures.
That's what I'm going to do on Saturday when Billy goes to Academy Sports Bar to watch Game 6 between the Leafs and Lightning. Right, Billy?
My feet stink, man. Jesus. You ever smell yourself and realize that it's bad? Jesus, man. I'm lucky I live alone.
Put that again. Look how...
I'm lucky I live alone, man. Like, I don't got to put up with nothing. Eh? Like,
I wonder why you live alone.
All right. So that's another outstanding edition of Maple Leafs Forever Leafs Talk. Again, the Maple Leafs losing Game 5 here at the Scotiabank Arena to the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-2. Game 6 happens at the Amalie Arena. And Steve Carney, who has been rather quiet, says, Marty Roberts and Billy, I told you so. I told you so. If you do a show for 20 more minutes, I'll come on. So I'm going to send them the link. And Billy, you and Steve Carney are going to go at it 12:30 a.m.
I'll be sleeping.
That's not in 20 minutes, pal. I don't think you...
Yeah, but you got to clean your feet. It takes you an hour. All right. On that note, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks to Taylor Woods, Billy Jorgansakis, and Marty Roberts. This has been Maple Leafs Forever.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.